This thing to work properly. There we go. Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review Part 9. Yep, this one reviewing the Drum Kingdom arc, which takes up almost the entirety of the third season of the show, taking up episodes 78 to 91. This 14 episode arc covers chapters 130 to 154 of the manga. Yep. This one is the introduction to Tony Chopper. Yep, this particular arc has its debut. Of course, Jump Island itself, well, it's also known as Jump Kingdom. There's a couple doctors introduced here, one of whom basically only appears in flashbacks. He appears present day because he's dead. And then we have the witch, the doctor who's called a witch, Warpole and his two associates, and Dalton. I will get to what happened with these guys after this arc. Now, pretty much they arrive at this island. This is basically a lead-in from the events that finished up with Little Garden, where they actually what happened with Dory and Buggy, and not Buggy, Broggy, where they actually go back to fighting as soon as the Straw Hats leave. Though they actually fight with their bare fist basically and try to end it once and for all. Yep, and because Nami's sick, they have to Vivi, of course, finds out about what's going on at Alabasta. It means they have to hurry up, but first, they need to make a quick pit stop to help Nami, because we need her navigation skills. Because if she was asleep, and even though Zoro was basically trying to, let's say, follow not follow the eternal pose, but basically the clouds, yeah, they nearly avoided a frickin' cyclone. If it had been for Nami. Yes, a cyclone. Where the heck this thing came from? Now, it's explained the Grand Line had things pop up completely at random, like a lot throughout the Grand Line. So it's nothing unusual. So they're able to avoid that. So they make a stop. Well, first, before they get to the island, they come across, like, because Nami, the doctor, of course, says he's this guy standing in the water, but he's not really standing in the water. He's actually standing on top of a ship. A ship that comes out of the water. By the way, who's on the ship? It's Warpole. Yep. And he's first seen eating a sword. It is much fruit. And he gets really big and bulky. So he ends up trying eating the ship, so Luffy basically kicks him off the ship, and everybody kicks off his soldiers who just come on board. Yeah, it's explained why the soldiers are here for. Like, wait, what's this country's military? What's the military doing on board the ship? Well, there's a reason for that. It's explained by Dalton when they arrive at the island that the island was attacked by the Blackbeard pirates, a crew of 5 people. Currently, this is actually a crew of about 20 or 30, because he's got a handful of ships. They attacked the island, and then they left. Unknown why they left, they just did. That was later explained the reason why they left, because the person chasing them. Though he does make his debut into the final episode of this arc, Fire Fist Ace. Yep. Though you don't know his name, we know his name is Ace, but he doesn't have Ace's traditional look because he's wearing a coat because it's cold. Because normally Ace basically goes around shirtless. Why does he go around shirtless for? He just does. That's him. Also, his hat is different color. Actually, I think his hat's the same color, but you don't see his necklace you see him never wearing. Yeah, he does not see. He probably does have it. It's probably this coat that he wears. So when they arrive at the island, basically people will try to take him out because they're pirates, but they're not the pirates that attack the island. And then the doctor, of course, Luffy's been attacking him. Of course, Vivi basically chastises him, like, shouldn't attack them, despite the fact they did wound Vivi. Luckily, how they bandage up, so that they basically tell that the island technically has no doctors, but really has one, who's a witch, who lives on top of the tallest peak of the Drum Rockies, the smokestack-style mountains, and Luffy and Sanji take Nami up there, and along the way for them, they run into these carnivorous rabbits. Yeah, which are like a combination of bears and actual rabbits. Well, first they're chatting, while of course avoiding a baby rabbit, so a whole flock of them basically come along, because Luffy and Sanji beat them up. Though Luffy is basically dodging because he wants Nami's temperature to go up. So then, because the Vines get so upset, basically, because like they keep being like they're so desperate, so basically start hopping up and down to cause a freaking avalanche. Meanwhile, though, Zoro, who stays in the ship, he decides to take a dip in the water without any shoes or any shirt, just basically just a pair of pants. He also leaves his swords behind. Yep. In case you're wondering, does Zoro do anything in this arc? The answer? No. He doesn't do much of anything. He does very little. Yes, for one of the main characters of the series, he does virtually almost nothing this whole arc. I mean, if you look at someone like Usopp, he is another character who does virtually nothing. The only characters who probably do anything is Luffy and Sanji. Nami I get because she's sick, but Zoro and Usopp, characters do somewhat. Yeah, and Vivi, of course, she doesn't do very much this arc at all, aside from basically dragging people along to basically what's going on. Basically, a lot of the time, they don't know what the heck is going on top of the freaking mountain. Eventually, after Luffy gets past, after Luffy survives the avalanche, which nearly kills Usopp and, well, Vivi, Warple himself arrives back in the island. Oh yeah, time to reclaim my former kingdom. And he starts by eating some houses because of his fruit. And of course, Dalton tries to fight him, but he's taken down by one of Warple's two subordinates. And well, first basically proves his point. Basically, you see, Warple is a corrupt king. He only cares about his own personal benefit. His personal being. He doesn't care about his people at all. And it's played by Dalton and pretty much everybody in this whole kingdom. The guy sucks at being a king. It's like, oh, one slice, and all of a sudden the 20 MDs just come around and just fix one slash wound with some metal. Just cuz. Yeah, and the reason why these doctors, now there's virtually the 20 MDs. Now the reason is it's quite stupid. He apparently really wanted to control the populace. So, how? By controlling their health. With the exception of 20 doctors, exiles all the doctors from the island. Just because he feels like, despite the fact a lot of these people really need these doctors' help. He doesn't freaking care. All he cares about is basically how people grovel at his feet, making his country so poor. It is something, though, he didn't basically initiate stupid taxes. So you have these 20 MDs, which are pretty much his personal physicians. It takes 20 people to treat one person. Which, even from Dalton, even I agree with it. This is so stupid. And his laws are utterly ridiculous. Like, for something called a constitution he has, it's just him basically spreading his ego around. He can do whatever he wants. So after basically the rabbits, distract Warple after Luffy runs him again, he basically is able to get up the mountain by climbing up thing with his bare hands. And he's like bleeding like crazy, but luckily he just gets up just in time. And they do show the doctor of the island, Lord Chopper, who just come back from a rounds, which they actually treated a boy for like swollen hands, and apparently his leg got swollen as well. So he treats that, and like as payment, I'll take your toilet paper and your trash, and 50% of your assets. And the boy says, "Thank you, old lady." And apparently for him, it's basically a tip and a compliment for her. So it's like, okay, that's a tip. I accept it. You're now down to 49%. 49% assets. Why does she need the assets for? Honestly, I have no idea. It's quite strange. Just treat one kid. She claims half this restaurant's assets, which really makes no sense at all. Yeah, but at least she's able to treat them perfectly fine. And Luffy and Sanji basically are treated. Now, Luffy is basically covered with like frostbite and like a bunch of bruises, so he basically covered nearly head to toe with bandages. Nami, she's able to be treated, though, when it's like, okay, just pull up her shirt, show off her belly, and apparently she got bitten by this tick, basically, was rumored to be extinct. Yeah, this was accomplished because Nami got bitten while her shirt got burned by Usopp's fire. So technically, Usopp is responsible for this indirectly. But having for that, they would never met Chopper, which that Chopper was hiding. And of course, he's a reindeer who ate the human fruit, so he was able to talk and walk on two legs. Yep, and then when the Warpo comes back, he's actually shocked to see his castle in its condition. Like, outside looks great, inside looks terrible, where it's covered with snow. And the reason for this is because there is actually snowbirds, a nest of snowbirds on top of one of the doors. Okay, I get that, but why are the rest of the windows open for it? That makes no freaking sense at all. And the lady, the doctor here, the old lady doctor, she's basically says, oh yeah, she's 139. They'll claim she's 140. Yeah, it's like, you want me to see her eternity? It's like, no. Yeah, she keeps asking us. My personal theory of why she's still so, let's just say, still alive, and my personal guess, she's too stubborn to die. And the thing is, she's always drinking liquor. A lot. Maybe this is the secret of her youth, or at least basically ways to her stay alive. I have no idea. Though she does get upset for Sanji using her kitchen without her permission. Though she does take offense to being called Madam or Old Lady. And for Sanji, she beats him up for it. Luffy, not really, no. She doesn't beat up Luffy for it. Does beat up Sanji for it, not Luffy for some reason. When Warpo finally shows up at the actual castle itself, after seeing the inside of it, well, first he basically he has a rematch with Luffy, though Chopper teams up with him, and apparently Sanji is not well enough, so basically the doctor decides to break his back. Just cuz. So he usually goes to his Munch factory to make a Warpo house, and then he takes his two subordinates, eats them, and has them combined into one person. Chopper is able to defeat this person thanks to eating a Rumble Ball, which has to go through 3 more forms, because apparently this is a Zenfort user. He only has 4 forms. He actually has 7, so he's able to basically beat these people up pretty easily. Yeah, and by the way, after they're beaten, they're never seen again. I know exactly what happened to them. They probably went to jail for their basic association with Warple. Warple himself basically got distracted, so he basically runs away. And just by sheer coincidence, he runs to Nami. Nami, of course, never seen him before. And of course, they start running around the castle. He gets down the stairs. He gets caught. Like, man, I must put on some weight. So, Munch Factory. So, he basically eats up his own freaking body, make a slimmer version of himself. And somehow, during a period of time before he's about to open the arsenal to basically eat up the stuff in the arsenal to kill Luffy, his key to the arsenal disappeared. Yeah, it's actually Nami took it off him somehow. Well, she's a thief, so. And then Luffy's able to follow him back up, chasing around the whole frick castle. Tries to get a particular gun to fire at Luffy. Doesn't work because snowbirds put their nest inside of it. So Luffy's like, I'm sending you flying. And sends him flying. Making the second villain he's actually defeated by sending him flying. And he doesn't return again in the series until episode 778. So he disappears for quite some time. Though he does also return for the Reverie arc. They do have flashbacks to the Reverie arc. Well, basically, a flashback to an early Reverie without the current kings. Where they basically discuss Monkey D. Dragon. Ask what else I discussed this particular Reverie? Unknown, aside from the fact they acknowledge that Dragon is a threat. Nothing else is said. And Warple takes offense basically with Cobra, Vivi's father. Basically, like, Cobra takes offense on how Warple basically governs. And they all start a fight, but Warple's like, I'm gonna slap his daughter. Not across the face. Oh no. Smack her on the forehead really hard. And apparently Ingram was wearing a completely different attire than he is wearing present day. Vivi does looks like the same outfit she usually wears in the flashbacks seeing Alabasta. Though she had been to Reverie before, which is quite nice. Oh yeah, and also Warple hated going to Reverie. He thought it was boring. what does he rather do? Make his people suffer? I guess he gets off on that. So, yeah. So Chopper decides to join the crew after basically Luffy persuaded. First, Luffy and Sanji trying to eat him, and then after seeing he's also a shapeshifter, he's like, join my crew. Of course, he did not know the fact that he was a doctor until like the final episode of the arc. Also, Luffy basically lost his first coat he had. Yeah, it fell off Nami to keep her warm. And then he takes Nami's coat, and all of a sudden he kind of rips off the sleeve, though he blames Warpo for it. Even though he probably did to keep the flag that... They do show Chopper's flashback here, which is quite nice. They don't show where he got the fruit from or where he ate it. It just shows what happened after he ate it. We got basically chastised by his own people, and because he got a blue nose, and him basically being shot by people. Then me and the doctor, he grew the one and built the flag at the top of the castle. Yeah, they very much explain not his entire backstory in detail. There's some portion of his backstory explored later in fill episodes, but mostly put some of the more important stuff basically related to the fact that he indirectly caused his mentor's death. Not the one he was training with, the one he was with the one before that, who his name is like Dr. Hollock, I think his name is. Yeah, he's referred as a quack because he's not that good of a doctor. Though he's the one responsible for giving Chopper his hat he wears throughout pretty much the entirety of Part 1. And kind of indirectly, well, Hollock is also responsible for the little metal thing on his antler. Oh, and by the way, how he puts the thing on, basically just squeeze on his head, and somehow his ears and his antlers pop right through the hat, no problem. Though when he takes it off, apparently the antlers disappear for some reason. Yeah, I don't know if it's animated scoop, whatever. Because when it comes to the Chopper, he very rarely takes off his hat. Yep. And by the way, his attire is simply the hat and a pair of shorts. This is his attire most of the time up until the time skip. Yeah. Same exact attire. By the way, Vivi, her role in this, well, travels to Usopp. Usopp gets frozen. He basically falls asleep, so Vivi wakes him up by slapping him 20 times, making his face swollen. Zoro basically ends up swimming. He takes one of Warple's men's coats after beating him up. Takes his coat and his boots. And his gloves too, because apparently he was only wearing a pair of pants. And he goes to the mountain. I think they're going to help, but nope, don't worry about it. And of course, Dalton, who of course got wounded, it was treated by the MDs, no problem at all. And after Warple was left for good, the army probably do stay with him. And it's hints that he becomes the king of the country after this, though he doesn't live in the castle. He lives in one of the nearby villages. He's been offered to stay in one of the castle later on, but yeah. As what happened to Warple, well, he ended up on some island where he ended up starting a toy company, married a beautiful model, started a new country called the Dark Drum Kingdom, which did make an appearance in the Reverie arc, and that's it for him. The Doctor herself, she did make occasional appearances after this, mostly to react whenever Chopper got a bounty on his head, and same with Dalton. Basically, Drum Kingdom became one of those places that the Straw Hats previously visited, and whenever the Straw Hats get a new bounty, they're one of the countries react to it. Yep. But yeah, not much else to say about this particular arc. It's good, and it leads, and of course, like with the previous two arcs, it has a scene where it features Nico Robin. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. With the exception of the Reverse Mountain arc, which is the first arc of this saga, from Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, and this one, always has an appearance by Nico Robin. Yeah, just one appearance. The luck up she becomes a regular character in the next arc as well. Excuse me, next arc of the series. Yep. But yeah, not much else to say about this arc. It's great, and great introduction to Tony Chopper. And something that we have another arc, second arc of the series, where you have a character's backstory explored here. But in the case of Chopper, I would say not the entirety of his backstory, but I would say most of it anyways. The only other character's backstory has been explored. Well, the only time they've done this where they have the character's backstory explored in their introduction arc was Usopp. But that wasn't very much at all. It was basically, yeah, they did explore his backstory there. Now his backstory they explored into, this was actually first up in Romance Dawn. Her backstory then wasn't explored to Arlong Park. Zora was explained in one episode. A lot of these characters get like 2 episodes to their backstory. Zora gets 1. But the thing with him is the fact that they don't really explain what the heck he was up to prior to arriving in Dojo. That's a big mystery. Also, who are his family? Yes, like, who were his parents? That's one of the biggest mysteries of the series. Who is Zoro's parents? Just like how who's Luffy's mother. Yeah. But all in all, great arc of the series. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. I have roughly about 3 videos more to do today. And I have reviews for One Piece, My Hero Academia, and the returning Boruto series. Yep, for My Hero, it's just basically a new chapter in the manga because, well, season's concluded. Well, for about 3 months until whenever the season 5 starts up again. But yeah, basically 2 anime reviews. For One Piece, they released a new chapter today, so I'll review that, plus new episodes of the anime. And, of course, Boruto. First new episode in 2 months. Yep, but this next video. Bye.